Hey, greetings everyone from our home to yours. I hope that this finds you safe and well. Happy Sunday. We are skipping forward in our lessons from Matthew into Mark. Our scripture passages for today are going to be Mark 4, verses 24 through 25. So as we slip into Mark, we're going to learn the things that Jesus said, the lessons Jesus taught, and the stories that Jesus told through the eyes and writing of Mark. You've probably heard me and others say several times that a generation ago, the most quoted or the most recognizable Bible verse in America was John 3:16, for God so loved the world. And now the most recognizable Bible verse is not really a whole verse, rather it's some phrase taken out of context, way out of context. And that is, judge not lest ye be judged. And as I've said before, this whole verse has been taken to mean, don't judge me, let me live my life the way I want to live it. Don't worry about the things that I'm doing. Who are you to judge me? How can you say that to me? Keep your opinions to yourself, kind of thing. And Mark, as you'll see, has a different way of teaching this concept of judge not lest ye be judged, because really the words that Matthew used kind of hijacked what I think Jesus was trying to say a little bit. So in Mark 4, 24 and 25, it says, by the measure you use, it will be added to you. And the one who has it will be given, and the one that does not have it, it will be taken away. So the context here can be a little bit confusing because we would be tempted wrongly to use this about money and or blessings. The context of this passage is the light. Jesus is discussing how the light is to be measured and how it's not to be hidden. And he says how you measure that light is how that same measurement of how you measure the light will be used on you. So how do you measure light anyway? Well, I know some of you are going to answer, lumens, but that's not the type of light that we're talking about. It's God's light. It's Jesus's light. It's his light that is in us, shining through us. And God's light is a much more spiritual context, isn't it, rather than actual light. So what is this passage trying to tell us then? Well, if we go back a little bit further in the conversation, Jesus tells and then explains the story of the sower, the one about sowing the seeds in the different soils, which is, one of the foundational parables and stories that Jesus tells. It's foundational to his teaching and how he sees the kingdom of heaven. And then he goes into this conversation about hiding the light or not hiding the light and how it's measured. So the point is, how are you walking your walk? Are you a secret Christian? Are you a secret follower of Christ? By what standards do you think of a Christian as good or a bad Christian? By what standards do you think of someone as a good or a bad person? Do you only tell whom you deem worthy of hearing about Jesus? Do you only do Christian things when other people are watching? Basically, it's how you think others should be living, and what other people should be doing is how you should live and what you should be doing. And so the goal of what Jesus is trying to say here is that if you look down your nose at others, well, that's how people are going to look at you, and that's how you're going to be treated. There's a story that's told, I couldn't find who it's attributed to. It's attributed to many, many different people, but there's a story of an Amish man who was asked by a tourist, are you a Christian? The Amish man pointed down the road at a house and said, that is my neighbor. If you want to know if I'm a Christian, you need to ask him. That story is so profound. It is perfect in the context of this. And that is the light that I think Jesus was talking about. If you hide your light, your neighbor will never see it. And if you decide who gets to see your light, that's a measurement that you're taking. That's a judgment that you're doing. And if you hide that light, no one will get to see it. And so are you a closet Christian hiding that light? Are you determining that your neighbor's not worthy, that they're unworthy of the light, and therefore Jesus is saying, then if you're hiding it and you deem them unworthy, then you're unworthy. I mean, there's a whole lot of meaning packed up into that little verse, isn't there? It's hard to measure light, but God's light shines so brightly through us, and God's light shines into the darkness and pushes that darkness away. So don't hide the light. May you go this week and shine the light of Jesus into the world. God bless you. Have a great week.